scholars, welcome back. So today for our Native American unit, we're going to move on to lesson 5 where we're going to learn about a new Native American tribe. So previously we were learning about the Lakota Sioux tribe who lived in the Great Plains. So that was like the middle part of the country where they followed the buffalo from place to place. They were a nomadic or a moving people, so they had to constantly move and follow the buffalo. So today we're going to learn about a new tribe called the Wampanoag tribe, and they were actually a tribe that stayed in one place. They didn't move around a lot like the Lakota Sioux. And I'm actually going to show you guys a map. So the Lakota Sioux lived in this area that I'm moving my mouse over, the Great Plains, and our new tribe we're learning about today lived in this area on the northeastern part of the country where it's green. So today this would be considered Rhode Island, Massachusetts. But back then, a long, long time ago, we didn't have all of our states in place. It would just be considered like the northeastern part of the of the country. And it's along a coast or along the water. So this white part would be the Atlantic Ocean. And so since this tribe lived near the water, what do you think they ate a lot? If you say fish, you're correct. So they ate a lot of fish, maybe snails or clams. So this is a picture of clams. They have a hard shell on the outside, and if you steam them or boil them, if they touch heat, the clams will open up, and inside is the meat that you can eat. So a lot of the Wampanoag tribe probably ate clams or had a clam bake. So today, as we're listening to our story, I want you to think about the environment that the Wampanoag tribe lived in, the clothes they ate, and the shelter that they lived in. And the title of our story is called Bear, Gull, and Crow. So let's get started. Long ago, there were 3 animal friends who lived in a land of the wild forest, green fields, and shiny waters. Gull made her home in the marsh near the bay. So this is Gull, the seagull. Bear lived in a cave deep in the woods. And Crow had a nest in an old oak tree at the edge of a garden. Bear, Gull, and Crow often got together to visit and chat. One of the things they talked about was the upright walkers who lived nearby. These beings called themselves the Wampanoags, but the animals called them the upright walkers because they walked upright on 2 legs all the time and never flew. So the animals called them the upright walkers because they walked straight up on their 2 feet when a lot of animals walk around on all 4 legs. The upright walkers lived in houses that they called weetus, built from bent saplings and tree bark. They could make fire just like lightning did when it struck a tree. They grew corn from kernels planted in small earth hills. These kernels were sweet, crunchy nuggets that Crow loved to steal. They fished in the bay using nets, spears, hooks, and lines. The upright walkers also hunted in the forest with bows and arrows. So Bear was always very careful to keep his distance. One day, Gull said to Bear and Crow, "Today I saw some upright walkers wading in the bay. There was a man and a boy. They lifted many smooth rocks from the water and carried them into the forest. They said the rocks were for the Wampanoag. I wonder what an Wampanoag is." Crow thought hard for many minutes. "An Wampanoag must be an animal," he said. "An animal that eats rocks." "Can there be an animal bigger than I?" said Bear. "I want to see this animal. Tomorrow I will go spy on the Wampanoag." The next day, Bear found the pile of stones. He hid behind the trees and waited. Before long, the upright walkers came. They dug a very shallow hole in the ground. Then they carefully laid the rocks into it and went away. Bear waited and waited, but the Wampanoag did not come to eat the rocks. Tired of waiting, Bear went to tell Gull and Crow what had happened. The upright walkers dug a hole and filled it with the rocks, but the Wampanoag did not come. "Leave it to me," said Crow. "Tomorrow I will figure out what's going on." The next day, Crow perched in a tree near the rock pit. Soon the upright walkers returned. They collected lots of dry wood and piled it up next to the pit. Crow flew hurriedly to find Bear and Gull. The upright walkers collected wood. "They're going to build a wetu for the Ampanog," said Crow. "A Ampanog will live in our forest in its own wooden house." He thought for a moment. But what if it's not a friendly Ampanog? Bear and Gull looked worried. The next morning at sunrise, as Gull was winging around the bay, she saw the upright walker man and the boy on the beach. There was a girl with them, too. Low tide had uncovered some wet sand that had been under water at high tide. The upright walkers were looking for little holes in the wet sand. From time to time, water shot up from the hole. They were breathing holes of soft-shelled clams that lived under the sand. Gull watched as the upright walkers dug the clams out with long sticks. Some clams spit water even after they were dug up. Soon the upright walkers had filled a large basket with clams. They waded into the shallow water and filled another basket with larger clams. Later on, Gull told Bear excitedly, "The upright walkers collected many clams. They said they were glad they had found so many clams for their Ampanog. I hope the Ampanog does not eat up all the clams and fish in the bay." Gull went on. "Next, those upright walkers gathered the rockweeds that grows on the rocks in shallow water." "That Ampanog is going to eat rockweed too," said Bear. "What will it decide to eat next?" Bear looked around. "Where's Crow? Wasn't he supposed to meet us here? Do you think the Ampanog eats crows?" No sooner had Bear spoken when he saw Crow flying towards him. "I saw upright walkers in the cornfield," exclaimed Crow. "They picked baskets full of corn. They said it was for the Ampanog today. The Ampanog is coming today." Bear, Crow, and Gull looked at one another. So again, they think the Ampanog is an animal, a big beast. "Let's go," said Bear, and lickety-split off they set for the rock pit. There they hid among the trees. Before long, some upright walkers started to gather. Then more and more came. There were men, women, and children, big and small, old and young. The upright walkers took the dry wood from its piles and laid it over the stones. One man started the wood burning. Others stayed by the fire and kept it going. They raked the burning wood so the hot ashes fell into the cracks between the rocks. Soon ashes covered the rocks, heating them up. The upright walkers laid rockweed over the ashes. Steam rising up from the damp rockweed gave off a sharp smell of salt. The upright walkers placed heaps of clams on top of the rockweed, together with lobsters, corn, and potatoes. When all the food was loaded on, they covered it with more rockweed. Bear, Crow, and Gull sniffed the mouth-watering aromas of the food cooking. Now everyone fell silent, and a very old upright walker stepped forward and said a prayer to the Great Spirit. He thanked the Great Spirit for the animals, plants, rocks, and trees. The other upright walkers joined hands in a circle and stood in silence. Then, as the flute and the drum sounded, the upright walkers began to dance. When the dancing had ended, the old upright walker spoke again. "This is a fine day for an Ampanog. The Ampanog is a celebration, a time for our people to come together, to give thanks to the Great Spirit, and to feast on delicious food." So what is the Ampanog really? So let the feasting begin. The rockweed covering was lifted off, and the upright walkers began to load their bowls with food. Bear, Gull, and Crow looked at one another. The Ampanog was not a huge rock-eating monster with big teeth after all. An Ampanog was a celebration where the upright walkers had a clam bake. a mouth-watering, nose-tingling feast. How they wished they could leap out from their hiding places and join in. But what would the upright walkers think of having uninvited guests? Just then, a girl walked towards their hiding place, carrying a bowl piled high with food. It was the girl that Gull had seen digging in the sand for clams. The girl laid the bowl on the ground before running back to join the other upright walkers, and she called out, "To the birds and animals who share the forest and the bay with us Wampanoags, may you enjoy sharing our Umpanog, or clam-baked feast." And that's just what Bear, Gull, and Crow did. So here's some discussion questions for after our story. What is the setting of the story, or where does it take place? So think about where the animals and the people are in the story. Think back to the map I showed you at the beginning. Who are the characters of the story? Remember, characters can be people or animals. What is the name of the tribe the animals called upright walkers? What is a Wetu? How would you describe the clothing of the Wampanoag? What type of food did the Wampanoag eat? And remember, you can always upload your questions to Class Dojo or Remind. I'll see you in the next lesson.